Hi, I'm Dr. Dennis Kanneda. I am an ENT facial plastic surgeon based in London, and I'm also an international trainer for rhinoplasty and cadaver courses, and also the founder and CEO of Virtual Surgery Training Limited, which is the world's first aesthetic training using VR in the world.
Perfect. So understand that you went through the various training and qualifications to become a surgeon, a practicing surgeon, but how did you spot this need for a virtual training?
Yeah, the virtual reality is something really new. Not many surgeons are aware of, and also, as you see the industry, most of the successful practitioners are above 50, 55, and not so many of them is aware of the technology. And we said that could be a niche for our business, and we could be the leading ones if we manage to create a training academy or company who can use the VR for more effective training, and that will be that will put us on top of the list of training academies, and that worked really well. That was the main idea.
Perfect. And what's the challenge been with convincing the end consumer that virtual training is as good as the physical hands-on training?
Yeah. First of all, we always tell them this is not to replace your hands-on training, but what it is after your hands-on training, you definitely need something in your hand, in your practice, to remember to refresh your training all the time. Because after your hands-on training, you learn tons of things, and it's really difficult to remember all when it comes to the practice. And during the training, most of the time many training companies or academies, they use boring PowerPoint presentation, anatomy slides, dozens of text, etc. It doesn't work. So visual experience, visual learning is always much more effective than the reading. And we combine all the reading, listening, and visual elements in the VR that is superior to any kind of videos, textbooks, whatever you name it.
And when gaining investment within the medical space, how difficult is that when you're trying to convince an investor who maybe doesn't have the experience of that sector and the hands-on knowledge?
100%. That was the main challenge, to find out a good investor. So if you're looking at the successful CEOs of the companies, it's really difficult to find someone who is really young, understand all the computer science or technologies of virtual reality. And most of them, when we had the meeting, most of them probably didn't see even a headset. And we needed to introduce them to technology, etc. But to be honest, I don't know how good, or if it's good to tell you this, but at one point I needed to show them a porn video, actually, virtual reality porn video, like a sample, a clip, to understand the real, the dynamics of the VR. We can cut this. We can, we can say it's something else, but we needed to show them some, another kind of movies, or oceans, buildings, to understand what is 360 V, what is 180 V, what is virtual reality, what is the superiority of the VR.
Yeah, because I guess you're trying to educate them, I guess, on a couple of levels. It's not just the need for the product, but it's also the technology behind it that they need convincing of as well.
Exactly. So like having Zoom meetings or, online presentations of the VR never works. So you have to actually have them in the place, put the headset on, sound on, etc., to understand exactly what is happening. Otherwise, they won't invest. And they will always come back with, what will be the profit margin, how many we will be selling, etc. And it's also really difficult to promise, because the market is huge, but the amount of people who can understand, who can set it up, who can install and use the headset is really limited. And also it's such an intense content, that you need to limit it for the medical practitioners. You can't let anyone to try to learn how to inject at home to try themselves. That's also a limitation. And we needed to create the content with the code only. So they will be applying us with their qualifications, and we send them the codes to redeem to install the app. If it was like for everybody else, we would be like billionaires by now. So, but we didn't want to do that way.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. You mentioned there's the challenge of the technology gap as well. So even with the end user, not everyone has the headsets. Not all smartphones have the capability.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that?
Yeah, we tried to get ourselves involved in the China market, which is huge market for the Android phones, not the iPhones, etc. But somehow Google Play as well. It's also you can't use the Google Play Store in China. We tried to do the Oculus Store, but we found that the Oculus Store is not even popular in China, and we gave up the idea. And we got in touch with the Apple, and they say they are investing on the AR instead of the VR, and they're not going to come with a superior headset that Samsung or the Google have. And when we do the research, majority of the practitioners in Europe, they have the iPhone. And now we decided to do another marketing in Malaysia, in Egypt, in the places in Middle Eastern that we may have more Android phones so they can download. But luckily, last year or 2 years ago, there is an standalone device called Oculus Go, Oculus Quest, which doesn't need your phone. You can just easily connect it with the Bluetooth, and it solves the most of the problem. And now we are selling it with the Oculus Go and Quest.
Interesting. So
because they don't need the phone, they just use the Bluetooth to connect any phone, and they don't need to old version of headsets. You insert the phone inside the headset and you put it on, but not anymore. You just connect the devices with Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi, and then you use it.
Okay, so in addition to the VR space that you're moving into then as well, so you mentioned just before we jumped on the call that you also still work obviously as a physical surgeon, and you run this internationally, so you're getting people from the UK to the better surgeons in other countries. So talk to me a bit about the process behind that.
So this year we turned our faces to something new, like robots, and we decided to come up with another new idea. Maybe we can combine it with the VR. And maybe you heard about the robot called Pepper. Pepper is a humanoid robot designed by the SoftBank Robotics in Japan and then America. And they use the Pepper in training in schools, in some hospitals, to help disabled people or just guide people. And we decided to use the idea of Pepper to use in our training or in our practice. With this coronavirus situation, we need contactless as much as we can. And if you think the Pepper can measure the temperature, can ask the medical history of the patient, can just ask them to consent on a treatment, can just guide the patient to the treatment room or in the building in another room, and that will help so many hospitals and clinics to overcome with this coronavirus problems. And we are trying to find a solution with the training if we manage to combine the VR with the Pepper. So once they buy the Pepper in their clinics without using any headsets or anything, they can manage to watch all the 3D videos, maybe with a HoloLens or with a 3D glass from the Pepper, how do you say, the projections. That's now an idea right now. We had a couple of meetings. It is doable, it is possible, but we will see how it evolves. So it's always a bit more futuristic than the community is ready now. But I like the idea of having new things in the company. So we will see.
Perfect. And obviously with COVID and with lockdown, it's made people, I guess, progress digitally generally. So do you think this has actually helped your business? Do you think it'll...
Exactly. So the online training, distant learning was the main thing the last 3 months. And our sales increased rapidly with the VR headsets. But the problem is we needed to switch it a bit to online learning as well, not just only the virtual reality, because so many of them, they needed to have the VR headsets. And that was also a problem, to have the deliveries right in time, to if they have any problems with the headset, they couldn't change it. So we had a couple of emails like regarding that problem as well. And we managed, we tried actually to, the 3D images, 360 images in the headset.
Mm.
We were able to use them as 2D, but there are some softwares that you can watch 3D with your mouse, with your finger. You can still look around with your finger without just staring. We managed to do that in our online training, and now the online training that we easily sell on the website is much more selling than the VR. So that means people need much simpler solution, not like complicated headsets, etc. So they are not still there yet.
Mm.
The business still needs time, maybe in terms of having real profit.
Yeah.
But again, in the main training, hands-on training, we start with the VR. So it's always better to have something in hand in terms of the competition with the other training companies.
Makes sense. And just away from the training, so getting back to your practice, what do you think the challenges are going to be around bringing people back into that practice as lockdowns lifted?
In normal practice, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
The surgeries, etc.
Yep.
So in UK, the model that we are operating in UK, like I told you before, we are bringing many patients from here to Turkey, to Istanbul to have the surgeries. That's absolutely totally stopped now because of the flights. So that part of the business is super effective. It's just still bleeding. But the other part, the UK-based, London-based practice is booming because of, everyone was stuck at home with wrinkles, no skincare, hairs, etc. And now they're saving. So now they want to invest more on their faces, on their body, general health, etc. So it's picking up very well. The profit is even higher than in a normal month, because this month we started on the 1st, a couple of days ago, and now we're full booked until July. So it's really good, and we separated the consultations with the treatments. Now we realized that we were actually spending more time on the consultations in the clinic rather than having treatments. We were spending more time on the consultations, but now we separate the consultation is one whole day, and we now have 2 treatments in the clinic. That is bringing more profit to the business.
Makes sense. And just to finish off, where can people find out more about you and about virtual surgery training?
Okay, so we are always using social media, YouTube. We have a website called Virtual Surgery Training, and which explains so many things about virtual aesthetic doctor, how to download the app, how to use the headset. And on my website, www.drdeniskanliada.com, also has the access for the online training, not the VR, but online training. But mainly it's kind of network that we know each other a lot in the industry, and whoever is looking for a, let's say, rhinoplasty training, I got referrals from many of my colleagues, many of my friends, etc., and they send me directly. So we actually had difficulties in the past to find delegates, etc., but now just with the referrals, just from the webinars we do online. I'm also an international trainer with Wigmore Training, which is Wigmore Medical, which is the main product supplier in UK, and I'm their trainer as well. So with all those webinars, presentations, articles we publish on the magazines, we don't need that much huge marketing for the training purposes actually. So I suggest them, whoever is interested in how to succeed in the business, I would definitely recommend a couple of things before we finish, so they might help, because I had huge difficulties in the past. And first, never ever treat for money. That's what I can tell. If you're treating people, giving a treatment for an income, for money, you lose the client, because then if they need something else, then you can't help. Like, let's say you did Botox, simple Botox treatment. If patients come back and tell you, look, doctor, I still need a bit of Botox here, can you please handle it? And if you tell them, look, normally we use 10 units, 20 units, I need to charge you this, charge you that. Rather than saying, patient, look, whatever happens in 2 weeks' time, I will treat you for free. So please, if you have any problems, come back to me. So you gain the patient, you earn the patient's friends, families, etc. That was my actually key to have more clients each time. The second thing is fake pictures on social media. There are so many surgeons or doctors I know that they have constant people photoshopping their images, pictures. People are not stupid. People find the difference and know what is happening with the Photoshop, that they can easily understand. And lastly, I would say they can try to keep. It's something really common to say, but it's really important. Many people who see someone who is superior to them, who knows better than them, they tend to say something bad about it. What I did, if I met someone who is much more knowledgeable, much more superior than me, I tried to join him or her. I tried to learn from him. I tried to help him for free. I stuck with someone for like 2 weeks to learn how they're operating, how they're doing, with spending money, staying there for free, etc., or helping them with the paperwork. So that is absolutely important. Try to find someone who can mentor you throughout your career for a short period, just for a couple of weeks. That will help. And having the idea of helping people brings you always good people around you, like good friends, good patients, and they always refer you that way. So this guy is really good. They help you. You never feel like you're in somewhere that they're stealing your money, or they're charging you according to what you wear or what your background is. So that these are the key elements that I can that comes in my mind, actually.
And I think those learnings are true across all industries as well. That particularly that gain in trust, which leads to good
absolutely
road, and the mentor piece. So you've probably seen that, I guess.
Yeah, but people are trusting you with your face, with their faces, with their body, with their health. It's super important. If they think that you're charging them more, if they're rich, or if they're coming from a different background, that you lose the client. I have now billionaires, millionaires, or actors coming, and I charge them exactly the same that I charge to this person. So it should be like a very crystal clear business model.